Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids and we're back for some more Mardek, and today we are going to explore further into this Sun Temple here, and probably get ourselves into some more battles with, no less, some enemies that we have not yet seen. We've seen some iterations of these lizards here, namely the ones we fought last episode that actually took out Charla briefly. They have strong attack, 0 in the way of defenses, very weak to air, very resistant to earth, and a little bit resistant to fire. That's the Lupazar. Then there's the Posh Gruul, kind of like the Posh Goblin that we fought way back in Chapter 1. In this case, very weak to light, and that's about it. And then the Sekul, we have seen those. And then there's the Vega, which is this floating orb that kind of looks like a sun. And that has a little bit of defenses here, and a little bit of resistance to light. It is light elemental itself, very resistant to earth, and a little bit of weakness to dark, ether, and whatever this is. Okay, it does look like also that the Lupazar is actually the next enemy to go, so theoretically that may mean that we want to prioritize going after this guy, and he is, conveniently, weak to air. And Charla goes first. Charla can use air attack, so seems like that makes some sense. That buys us enough time to get Donovan a turn before the next enemy goes. And it looks like at this stage, the next ones to go will be the Posh Goblin and the Sekul. And is there an obvious answer as to which one we ought to target here with Donovan? Perhaps the Sekul, because it is a little bit weak to fire. So let's go that route. And like I was saying in the previous episode... Ooh, I missed that reaction. Uh-oh. Both Charla and Donovan are a bit of a hybrid character between magic and physical attacks. I would argue that Donovan is probably a little more on the attack side of things, where Charla is a little closer to a pure spellcaster. Although they still, in many respects, are different than any characters that we had access to back in Chapter 1 or 2. Okay, so now we're back to Charla. And she could attack the Vega. It has no weakness to air, so that's not a bad idea. Similar story with the Posh Gruul. Posh Gruul actually does go before the Vega, so I think it probably makes sense for us to target the Posh Gruul here. It is, however, very weak to light, and that does mean that Mardek would probably be the best person to attack it, and yet, also, Mardek goes after the Posh Gruul, so probably still want to take it out before it gets a chance to go again. And there's an opportunity to do so. Then on this occasion, we do find ourselves in a bit of a hole here because the Vega is light elemental. Mardek, of course, has light elemental attack, so although he does have the highest damage, he might not be able to pull this one off. Fortunately, it's not 100% resistant to light, but yeah, still not enough. Fortunately, it misses, though. We lucked out there. Let's try for a physical attack with Charla. And as you see there, does deal less damage than Donovan. However, still enough to take this guy out. And we get some liquid light as well. Okay, so let's continue to look around here. There are certainly many more chests in this area that we have not yet picked up. What are these things? I don't know about them. Okay, and here we see there's something over here on the map to the right. Not entirely sure what that is at this stage, so let's see if we can check it out. More the Lupazars, and I think we established that air is the way to go against them. It is. And it's tempting to try to attack them both here, but I'm not sure if we're going to have enough damage to take either of them out. I wasn't paying close enough attention to precisely how much damage Charla did in the previous fight against these guys, so let's just go for one at a time, play it a little bit safe here. Make sure that one goes down. Yeah, I'm pretty certain we would not have taken either of them out if we had attacked both, because remember, we deal less damage when we target more than one enemy at a time with magic. They are fairly resistant to fire, so probably could have expected that Donovan would not deal too much damage there, but Mardek, we were saying it earlier, he is definitely, at least at the moment, our strongest attacker. And there is Lightning Bolt mastered for Charla. I believe it is on her weapon, and there probably aren't too many things we would swap that weapon out for, theoretically. I believe it is possible to put the Wing Spear on Donovan, and to put the Ember Spear on Charla, basically swap their weapons around. they wouldn't learn the lightning bolt, or Donovan wouldn't learn lightning bolt, and Charlotte can't learn flame. So in that respect, it's not super significant. It also gives them the opportunity to learn the magic fire for Charlotte and the magic air for Donovan, which again isn't terribly relevant because, well, they aren't going to deal the other type of damage. Soul Strike, in both cases, they already have access to that ability. So there isn't much reason to do it, but you could if you really wanted to. Okay, let's take another look at that map there, and it looks like it loops back around in this direction, and then this is where we'll want to go. And what exactly this is? It is basically a switch that theoretically may have opened a door for us somewhere. As to where exactly, I cannot say. So we've seen really cold water before. Remember, that is a potion that deals damage, and a sun idol, an ancient artifact. It dates back from the Sun Temple's construction. The style of Solak idols has changed since then, making this quite a valuable relic. A collector would surely be interested in it. Interesting. I don't believe we found any plot items like that previously. At least, not yet. Alright, many more loot stars here. We could theoretically test that theory as to whether or not Charlotte is capable of taking them all out when she uses an attack against multiple people. I'm pretty confident, though, that she would not be able to, so I'm still going to try to take out just one at a time. And we saw previously that when they do use their fire attack against her, it is very effective, because she is very weak to fire. So they are a little bit scary in that regard. Remember, Donovan isn't going to do a ton of damage here. Definitely not enough to take one out. Mardek, on the other hand, certainly can take one out. And this is actually, if we are not able to take out this loop czar, it is a little bit dangerous because Charlotte is probably one hit away from going down. However, like we said, when it's just one enemy at a time, she can definitely do it. So not bad there. However, let's make sure that we take this opportunity to heal her up a bit. As for Donovan, I think you're going to be okay. Could opt to use a potion to get back just 100 HP. And if we look here again, there's definitely a chest up and to the left. Let's try the right first, though, see if there's anything here. Oh, might this be one of our priests? It's Solakian priest Elevar. Who are you? Did that priest finally send someone to help me? That's about time. Give me that warp stone. Grumble, grumble. Alright. One priest down. And also the chest here. That appears to be everything in this corner. So let's head on over to the other side. And I was saying this a little bit earlier. Ooh, that appears to be the way down. And so, if we wanted to go through to the next area, that would be presumably the way in which we do it. However, there are, of course, still a few chests remaining in here, so let's make sure we get those first. So I was saying this a little bit in the previous episode, that being that I have played a lot of Mardek 2 and a lot of Mardek 3. However, the way in which I've played them is slightly different. Take a quick look at the albino bats here, so you see that they actually have a lot of magic defense, somewhat surprisingly. No physical defense. Usually when we've encountered bats of this sort, they are very quick, which is still the case, although Charlotte managed to beat them in terms of agility. They are still very weak in terms of their total HP, so theoretically, one would assume we might be able to take them out in one hit, especially if they are weak to air, which they appear to be. So, Charlotte not quite able to take this guy out, and it did leech some life from Mardek. I'm going to deliberately try not to use any MP here to finish it off. But yeah, so although I have spent a lot of time in both Mardek chapters, well, I guess chapter 1, yes, but mostly 2 and 3 is where it's most relevant, the way in which I have spent that time is different. I've played through the campaign many times on chapter 2. Here we have Alchemist Fire, which is the fire-based potion that deals damage. However, Mardek Chapter 3, I've actually only really played it through, I believe, once or so. This area looks a little bit daunting up here. That looks like giving me boss signals, even now it opens up like that. Let's check the other side first, and then we'll investigate that area closer. But yeah, so by comparison, for Mardek 3, I have basically only played through it, I guess, once? Well, full thing once, and then many times getting through just the beginning or so. However, much of my time was spent doing lots and lots of leveling up and mastering skills and things of that sort, so I say that because when it comes to Chapter 2, I'm very familiar with the order in which you might do various quests and things of that sort, whereas for Chapter 3, I'm not as familiar with that. So, just a little caveat there, that might spend a little bit more time thinking about what exactly is the correct order in which to do those things, because Mardek 3, we will find, does open up a little bit more than Chapter 2. Hello, I'm trapped down here, and hey, is that a warp stone? Yay! It must have been sent by the priest whose name I can never remember up on the top level. Was it Solakian priest, or priest of Solak? Or did he change it to something like side quest priest, to be different? Please give me that warp stone to me. Please give that warp stone to me. Thanks for this. I'll use it to get back right away. I can't stand another moment in this place with death breathing down my neck like, you know, bye. Okay, you know, just leave us down here. Okay, so at the moment, we see that there is theoretically one more chest in here, although we've explored much of this area. I was saying earlier, this really looks like a boss arena. There's an idol. We were trying to interact with some of these earlier. It's an idol of Solak, god of suns. These are sculpted by priests and enchanted with levitation magic to show their devotion to their deity, and... is it moving? That's because this one is actually a mini-boss of sorts. Antares has a little bit of defense, mostly, however, has a little bit of light resistance and lots of earth resistance, very weak to dark, slight resistance to fire. However, nothing in the way of lightning, strengths, or weaknesses, so we'll blast it with a lightning bolt. As for Donovan, why not Master Flame here? And then Mardek will be the last person to go before Antares has his turn here. I do wonder, or might it be worth taking the time to put up something like a shield or a magic shield on someone, because as we saw previously, Charla and Donovan definitely not as tanky as Mardek or several of the other characters that we had in Chapter 2. So it's a bit of a risk here. Mardek is also, of course, our strongest character in terms of the amount of damage he can dish out. So I'm a little conflicted here as to whether or not we ought to attack with him. It does, however, have 50% resistance to light damage, so that might mean that Mardek is not quite as much of a standout character in terms of how much damage he can deal. So let's put on some shields, in that case. I'm guessing that magic will be the way to go, however, not only does it not attack the person that I chose to put the shield on, it also used a physical rather than magical attack, so guessed wrong in several ways there. You could also, remember, use Charla's Healing Wind ability. Charla does have access to that, and Donovan isn't looking great right now, so let's do that. And for Donovan, we could test it out as to whether Flame or physical attack is better. Antares does have a little bit of physical defense, so I would think that going the magic route would theoretically be a little bit better. We could continue to try to build up that defensive layer here with perhaps more magic shields, and maybe this time he'll attack Donovan. Unfortunately, we can only do it one at a time. Oh, and, well, Antares says, well, I can do that too. So, that does mean that now, suddenly, using magical attacks on it, maybe not as intriguing as it once was. Charla, like I was saying before, though, is a little bit more magically inclined relative to her physical attacks than Donovan is, so I'm still probably going to go this route with Charla. We might opt to go with the physical attack for Donovan. Let's see. And he gets a crit, so certainly worth it in that way. As for Mardek, let's continue to build up the defense. We'll use the physical shields this time around in case, well, you opt to do something like that, in which case, maybe we really should be making sure that we focus on buffing up Donovan here, because it seems like Antares has something against him. And so, Donovan did what, 120 or so damage with the crit on the physical attack. Let's just compare what a flame does. Roughly half that, I suppose that makes sense. Probably roughly equivalent to what he would have done with a physical attack that does not crit. And then finally we'll put the physical shield on Donovan. And it does pay off there. He is, again, not looking great. However, we have allowed him to hang on by having his damage, at least on that occasion, finally having the right kind of shield on. And I think we established that basically you could go either route here. Go with the physical poke, because that does have a crit chance, whereas him using a magic spell does not have any crit chance. And now, it seems like this is probably a decent time to test out just how much damage Mardek can do. It is still, I believe, a little bit higher than our friends. Oh, I was a split second slow there. And again, we see that it's dealing light attacks, which was very unusual in chapters 1 or 2. It was only a little bit of damage here, though, so I think we can still go on the offensive. Don't need to worry too much about healing up. That is the benefit of having put in the time to put up those magical and physical barriers early. Don't think Mardek's going to be able to take him out, but it should mean that next round we could do it. So let's get that done here. Donovan, if you crit, I would think you could do it, but more likely it would be up to Mardek. And there we go. And here we find a Sun Key, which is actually a plot item, and Light Essence, which we've not yet seen. So very interesting. Let's make sure we pick that up. As we saw previously, Donovan mastered Flame. Charla actually mastered her magic offensive reaction for plus 20% air damage. Mardek also mastered his plus 30% offensive reaction that he got from the champion sword that we picked up in the previous chapter. Not that we're looking to switch that one around anytime soon, but good to know for certain that he has mastered that as well. Alright, lots of Seckles here. And remind me, was it air they're slightly weak to? They're actually very weak to air, and slightly weak to fire. So I do wonder, might we be able to use Lightning Bolt on all of them? Not sure if we're going to be able to take them all out, but it should still allow us to finish things up with Donovan here. Alright, not bad. Donovan and Charla are fast enough that we don't have to worry too much about those guys getting a turn in. Unless, of course, we find that someone misses. Okay, so we could opt to go for a quick save here, and or heal, which seems like that might be helpful, given how we did just fight that mini-boss of sorts, even if we didn't take too much damage from it. And so now, we do have one more chest in here. I think that, based on where this door is located, we might end up... Oh, hold on. CLAVIS. Interesting. I didn't really expect to see any other people down here. But it only stands to reason that the priests have hired people to help. Oh, excuse me. Where are my manners? I am CLAVIS. Pleased to meet you. I am a traveling scholar, you could call me. Maybe even an equilibriumancer. Equilibriumancer, if you want to be particularly pretentious. Anyway, you were sent down here by the priests, yes? Or should I be worried? Well, that's right. The priests sent us. We're on a mission. It is unfortunate what plagues this place. Dark beasts. I've encountered a few myself, and though at the moment they're not numerous enough to be a total catastrophe, it is only a matter of time before they overwhelm and utterly decimate the place. As you may have noticed, this temple is a source of light. It's elementally charged as such. You can feel it in the air. You, my good sir, must be quite comfortable here, with your aura being as it is. But it was not built here, out of the barren desert, for no reason. Everything done by sentient minds has a purpose. There's a wellspring of darkness nearby, an eldritch source, which radiates dread. Though buried leagues beneath the sands, its power is strong, and it once influenced the minds of men. Darkness? Here? I don't feel any dread or anything. In times of old, this was a region of vile bandits and criminals, forever at war with themselves and others. Nobody dared to come here. There was no balance, only disarray. I know not who built this temple, but I can be fairly certain they knew this source of darkness and sought to correct the balance, which is crucially important. I cannot stress that enough. Do you know what a keystone is, my friend? Do you know what a keystone is, my friend? You mean one of those things at the top of an arch, in the middle, which holds it together? Indeed, my long-haired friend. Indeed. The keystone of an arch is its most integral component, for if removed, the sides of the arch would have no support. They would quickly topple over, falling to chaos and disarray. I like to use keystones as a metaphor. There is a device deep below this temple, which the original designer built to ward off the darkness. It has worked well for a long time, but by the steel-fisted wrath of a bolt-scorched stranger, it has been destroyed. It was a keystone. Not literally, I mean, it's actually called a warding stone, but it serves as a crucial supporting element to keep these twin arches of light and darkness from succumbing to ruin. You should go down and fix it, but I'm assuming you will do that anyway. It is why you are here. Well, we will. I find keystones quite fascinating. I'm forever intrigued by how brittle our systems are, how removing one crucial component can be the end of it all. You can hack away at the arches themselves for a long time to get anywhere, but remove the keystone and your job does itself. An arch, two opposing elemental energy sources. A monarch. A country will follow its government to the abyss, you know. Removing the source of law and order only results in chaos. Anyway, I'm rambling. Do forgive me. I don't often meet people, and I do tend to talk their ears off when I do. I ask that you think about this favored metaphor of mine. Keystones are present in many aspects of our world, and they must be kept in place. Now, we've all got our jobs to do, so I shall leave you now. I am here to study the imbalance. Perhaps we will meet again somewhere. Well, nice to meet you, strange bearded man. I like your funny forehead tattoo. What an odd man. To be down here all by himself, and then to ramble on about all that as if we were old friends and had known each other forever. It was strange, as if he knew or expected us, but maybe it's just me. I didn't really understand what he was talking about at all. It really came out of the blue. Alright, and with that, I think this is probably a good place for us to wrap up here. As for what exactly this CLAVIS guy is going on about with these keystones, well, bear in mind, the title of Chapter 3 is Keystones. So with that, I'm going to sign off here, and I'll catch you next time.